My now ex-fiancée and I got engaged 3 weeks ago. We've been dating for 5 years, and I finally got the money to give her the wedding she wanted. Well, 3 days ago, we were discussing our guest list, and I asked if she wanted to invite her best friend. Let's call him James. James lives in another state, but since they were friends for 10 years, I thought I could even pay for his travel expenses since it would be great to have her best friend at the wedding. She denied, saying that it would take a lot of work to bring him, and she wanted it to be a family event. Countless times she mentioned that James was like family to her, so I insisted. She got annoyed and said, I didn't even tell him we were engaged. That took me by surprise. I tried to ask why, but she started stonewalling me, and I left her alone. After a couple of hours, I tried to ask her again why she hadn't told him we were engaged, and she still refused to tell me. I admit, my insecurity got the better of me. In the past, James had confessed he had feelings for her, which she turned down and basically friend-zoned him. But by the way, she told me it always sounded like she had him as a backup, something not only me, but her exes realized. She married him online. They always made their WoW characters look like a couple, and when she had a fight with her exes, he was always there for her. I told her that made me uncomfortable, and if she was not planning to tell him, she might as well consider herself single, because I would not marry someone who couldn't be honest. Yes, I was pretty immature, but she did something even more immature. She texted him while showing me her phone, something like, hey, just so you know, I was engaged, but not anymore, and sent it to him. I told her to pack her things and leave my house. Ever since she left, she has been calling me, but I refused to answer. My mom called me, because she apparently called my mom, and said that I was a jerk for ending things for such a ridiculous thing. Now for a few comments. One commenter said, NTA, there is a reason she won't tell her best friend that she plans on getting married. Most women think getting married is one of the biggest things in life and tell everyone she knows, unless it will put a damper on something. You know boyfriends hate hearing their girlfriend is getting married. Another commenter shared, the night I proposed, I am pretty sure that my wife was on the phone before I even heard a yes with as many people as she could think to call. Then someone else added, haha, right? Mine was still naked when she started calling people. Another commenter said, lol, my husband and I had been to a friend's wedding earlier that day. Lying in bed watching TV later, he said, we should get married. He'd mentioned it before, but reneged, so I was like, yeah, right, okay, sure. He said, I'm gonna call my mom. I realized he was 100% serious this time. He's not a mama's boy, but that's how I knew he meant it. LMAO. I waited until he called her and put her on speakerphone, and then I called people, lol. 14 years together and 10 married, 1 child. So I get it. Another commenter suggested, so your ex-fiancée didn't want to tell her boyfriend about you. Unless you're poly, sounds like a great reason to end an engagement. If you want to confirm that she was cheating, offer to meet up with her for lunch. When you get there, tell her if she wants any chance with you, she needs to unlock her phone, and you read all of her messages between him and her on all media. I'm sure you will find more than enough to confirm that leaving is the best choice. And another added, even in a poly relationship that's still messed up, lying, and cheating, polyamory requires honesty and transparency on each of the relationships. The original commenter responded, poly allows you to make rules based on how you and your partner agree. I have known a couple of people who have had successful don't ask, don't tell polyamorous relationships. That is their choice and how they choose to be. That is the only time I could figure out how this could possibly be okay. That is why I put that exception. But some people who are poly don't accept, don't ask, don't tell as a viable relationship. And to that I say allow people to make their own choices on how they choose to be in a relationship the same way you would like people to allow you to choose. Personally, with my 16 years of experience with polyamory, I prefer kitchen table poly, but I also accept that people have different things that work for them. Another commenter said, you've done well to get rid of one woman who claims to love you, but fundamentally doesn't respect you and believes you should eat shoot in your relationships. Sadly, you've still got another woman who fits that description, your mother, and it'll be trickier to get rid of her. Now for the one-day update. Hey guys, I just got home after talking to my still ex-fiancée, and since a lot of people asked for an update, here it is. But I want to clarify a few things. As commented on my original post, I pay for the house since I bought it before dating her, and I asked her to move in since it was close to her job. I work from home since I'm in tech, but she had to go to work. That's why I paid for her car, to help her commute, and honestly, her salary is shoot. I was her partner, so I didn't see any problem with that. I thought she was the one, despite everything. She is smart, funny, we had chemistry, but I felt betrayed. To the update. We met at a coffee shop on the premise we would discuss how to save our relationship. At least, that's what she thought. As soon as we sat down, I asked to see their messages. She got defensive immediately and told me she had deleted everything. I asked to see her phone anyway. She started to cry, ugly cry, asking me to stop. At that point, I had already decided I was not going to be part of the relationship anymore, but damn, I was curious. It took a good 20 minutes for her to hand me her phone, a lot of crying, even a waitress asking her if she was okay. So I read the messages. There wasn't any cheating, like nudes being exchanged, them professing their love for each other. But what I read still stung. There was a lot of shoot talking about me. A lot. Texts and texts of them saying how terrible of a person I was, criticizing my hobbies, I like video games and pro wrestling, saying I wasn't a real man because of them and stuff like that. But there were two topics that caught my eye. One where she had told him I was having trouble getting hard, and that was frustrating for her, and one where she was complaining about how she didn't want to be stuck in our relationship. Yes, I was having problems in bed, because I was sad because my father had passed away 6 months ago. And the stuck thing, I remember telling her that when we got married, if she wanted, she could leave her job, and I would provide for both of us. I don't know if she took this the wrong way, but I guess it was related to that. I honestly don't know. I gave her the phone back, and she started making excuses about why she was saying those things to him, claiming he was like a therapist for her. She asked, "Don't you complain about me to your friends?" And I simply replied, "No, I don't." She started crying again. I took a deep breath and said, "Just give me the ring back." She hesitated, but gave it to me anyway. I stood up and asked her to delete my number and not bother me anymore. I called her mom and asked her to pick up her daughter's stuff from my place. Her mom is a good person, and I'm realizing I'm going to miss her as I write this. She understood why I decided to end it, but didn't ask much, and I'm glad she didn't. As for my mom, I didn't call her. I just blocked her for reasons unrelated to this post. I realized she never had my back in anything, and I was always trying to save an already failed mom-son relationship. Before I leave, I just want to clarify. I was never against her having male friends or any type of friends. People are going to cheat, friends or no friends. I remember my dad saying something to me when I was a teenager, "Opportunity makes the thief," but I don't agree with that. Anyway, since I have the next 2 weeks off work, I'm going to figure out what to do with the wedding money, drink some booze, play games, and watch Monday Night Raw later. Peace. Edit. A couple of people are asking about the car. It's a 2015 Nissan Versa, which she crashed twice, both times rear-ending someone. Never liked the car. Weak engine, the interior feels cheap and overall bad. So for all I care, she can keep that piece of shoot. I would have more luck throwing it off a cliff than selling it. Edit 2. Little update. Her mom called me a few hours ago to check on me and to ask when she could come and pick up her daughter's stuff. We spoke about the car, and she basically forbid me to let her daughter keep the car because, 1, I paid for it. 2, X wouldn't be able to maintain it. So I'm going to keep the car until I'm able to sell it. God help me. Also, some people called the story fake because they said I wasn't a real man for playing games, and yet they played WoW. To be honest, that's on me because I wasn't very clear. The real man thing was more about the pro wrestling hobby than the gaming hobby, but in some messages, they clearly mocked me for playing some games. Life is Strange series. In one, I remember James saying something like, "How could a grown-ass man play such a girly game and cry?" Yes, I cried playing Life is Strange. I also cried to RDR 2. The "I'm afraid" cutscene still makes me emotional. I'm a crybaby, I guess. I want to thank everyone who messaged me to talk about wrestling and games. It really helped me take my mind off everything. I haven't replied to everyone, but I intend to. If anything happens, I'll let you guys know. Be good people. Now for a few comments. Drayton9 said, "James saying you're not a real man because you play video games, while simultaneously creating his WoW character to match a girl who smacked him into the friend zone backup plan option, is galactic levels of cuck-fueled irony. OP, you gave your time, effort, and money to someone who didn't deserve it. It's unfortunate, but it can happen. Take some time to heal and become the best version of yourself. All the best." T. Fuentech replied, "Ouch, that was nicely done. This girl seems to be playing with two nice guys, probably more than that, her ATM and her friend-zoned cuck." Fuentech added, "Dodge the ballistic missile. She did not want to be stuck to you. Then why cry for a marriage she doesn't want? Oh, but she is going to miss the wedding. That's what she wanted. Let's see if her best friend boyfriend can provide her with one. Oh man, there are 4 billion women on this planet. Be patient. Yours will find her way to you, but not this POS. Now for the 10-day update. Hey guys, it's been a couple of days since I used this account to tell my story, and some things happened, but this is a positive update. First, I want to say thank you to everyone who reached out in my DMs and commented, saying nice things. It felt really good, and I appreciate y'all. Some of you actually made me tear up with your kind messages. Second, I saw my 2 previous posts were in a YT video of a guy who reads Reddit posts, and my update was on r/bestofredditor updates, a subreddit I read a lot, and that caught me off guard. but I want to express my gratitude for everyone who gave me advice, told their own story, or just told me I was a cool guy. Reading your messages before writing this felt amazing. I also want to say I thought about my engagement a lot, and I have no regrets whatsoever. Yeah, things ended badly, and she was not a good person to me at the end, but I just don't hate her, nor do I wish for her to fail. We had good moments. I felt happy with her, and again, I really thought she was the one. Feeling hatred was going to harm me more than her. To the update. Her mom came to pick up her stuff, and we talked for hours. It felt like therapy. I cried on her shoulders. We laughed. She expressed how much I meant to her family, and that I would always be welcome in her home. It felt so good to hear her say those things to me. Before she left, she asked me if I wanted to ask about my ex. I got curious and asked how she was doing. Her words were, "She's trying to act stoic, but I know my daughter. She's not taking this well." I left it at that. She gave me a hug and left. About the car, I'm going to donate it and get a tax write-off. But the thing I'm excited about is that I'm going to Royal Rumble. I never even watched Raw or SmackDown live. But now that I have the extra cash, I'm going to treat myself. Again, thank you all for reaching out. Sorry to the people who love drama that this update doesn't have an unwanted pregnancy, a fight, chaos, or a plot twist. The truth is that my life is just really, really boring. Be kind, people. Now for a few more comments. Kitty Miley said, "It's great to hear you're doing better. Enjoy Royal Rumble and keep taking care of yourself. You deserve some fun after everything," Stigley added. "Your ex realizes she had a good thing and blew it by trying to hedge her bets with her best friend. Her mom knows she blew a good thing too." V5B2K commented, "This is the best conclusion you could have hoped for. Hate-free healing. Good for you, OP. All the best and continue on this path of being your own best friend." Am I the idiot for kicking out my deadbeat dad after he blew his money on booze and cigarettes instead of groceries? Here's the script. I'm a 28-year-old guy with my own house now. I moved out at 18, not really by choice. My dad basically pushed me out. Our relationship's been rocky since then. He's always been a huge drinker and smoker, which caused plenty of issues back then. Fast forward, he lost his house a couple of months ago, didn't keep up with loan payments. So he calls me up, says he needs a place to stay while he gets back on his feet. I laid out a few ground rules. Either pay rent, $400, or cover groceries, about $250 to $300, and absolutely no smoking in the house. He laughs, says, "I'm your father, I shouldn't have to pay." But I don't budge, so he reluctantly agrees to buy groceries. From the moment he moves in, it's just one problem after another. Leaves a mess everywhere. Doesn't clean up, smokes inside even though I made it clear that's a no-go, and drinks like there's no tomorrow. Then, one day I have a girl over, and he just has this meltdown over it. So I tell him, listen, if he can't respect my space, he'll have to find somewhere else to stay. Things settle for a bit, but last week he hits me with, "I don't have the money to buy groceries this month." I'm like, "Why?" He says, "Well, you eat a lot," and admits he spent all his cash on smokes and drinks. That was it for me. I was done with him acting like he owned the place, done with the flashbacks to dealing with him as a teen. I told him to pack up and leave. So, am I the jerk? I set clear boundaries. He didn't follow through. Now for a few comments. Detroit Smash 8701 said, "Not the jerk. Your house, your rules. When the bills come in his name, then he can run his house the way he wants." Three Heathens Mom added, "Not the jerk and good on you. Likely some people may tell you how mean you are." The response to those folks is, you will be happy to provide your dad with the info they would like to house him until he gets back on his feet. That should quiet things considerably. George E commented, "Not the jerk. His 'I shouldn't have to pay' showed his respect for you before he even moved in. Give him a month's notice maybe, but that is as far as your charity should go." Then I replied, "I gave him until the first week of November. The only things he actually needs to pack are his drinks and smokes." He had stored almost everything from his house in storage, Z4 driver said. "Not the jerk. Kick him out." Apparently, losing his own house wasn't consequence enough for him to realize that he needs to change some things in his life. So, as he disrespected your reasonable rules, he needs to feel the consequences by losing the place he could stay again. And in case he gets family and friends involved, what inevitably will happen, you can tell everybody who says you should let him stay that they are welcome to open their home for your dad and offer him to stay with them. I responded, "I'm already painted black in front of most family members. I don't know what they're going to tell me, which they haven't already said earlier, lol." Now for the update, 3 days later. He moved out today. Sorry to disappoint y'all, but the process was surprisingly peaceful. The day of the last post, my dad told me he needed to talk. I braced myself. What he said was totally unexpected and welcome for me. He said that he couldn't bear the disrespect I've shown him, and he was never going to contact me again. His words, "You failed me as a son." I told him if he needed help in the future, he could contact me. but he must abide by some conditions. He scoffed and said he was leaving soon and didn't talk to me again. He left today. As I said earlier, he had little to pack and had most of his possessions in storage. He didn't tell me where he was going and didn't bid adieu. Not gonna lie, I was comfortable with it. A toxic part of my life was being erased. I'm feeling a different kind of freedom, which I haven't felt even after I left home. Where he goes now is none of my concern, although I would have liked to at least know where he's going. Oh well, this is the update. Maybe a bit disappointing for some, but I personally am very relieved how this played out. Thank you all for the advice and all the responses. This meant a lot. Back to lurking with my main account. Peace. Now for a few comments. Consider Arson said, "We can only be thankful when the trash takes itself out. Congrats on your newfound peace." Sue B1434 advised, "Change the locks and monitor your credit history for a while. Better to be safe than sorry. Congrats, and I hope you make the list of your independence." Am I the idiot for inviting my fiancé's estranged mother into our home without telling him? I thought it was an overreaction, but after posting on Am I the Idiot, I realize I may have messed up big time. I overstepped my bounds. My fiancé cut off his mother when he left for college at 18. She was a teenage mom and, according to him, prioritized her relationships with men, putting them in toxic situations. Recently, his mother reached out to me on Facebook, asked to meet up, and gave me her side of the story. She was a young mother, unaware of her resources, and made mistakes. She wants to make up for those mistakes, but my fiancé won't give her the opportunity. She hoped I could convince him to have a cup of coffee with her. I felt empathy for her because my mom was also a teenage mom. I can't imagine cutting her off. So I invited her to our apartment, waiting for my fiancé to come home. I didn't want to blindside him, but he never budges when it comes to his mother. So I felt I needed to do it this way. He came home, left after 5 minutes of back and forth, and when he returned the next day, he told me he was rethinking our marriage. We've been together for 6 years, and I'm utterly in love with him. The thought of him leaving makes me sick. How do I get him to forgive me and trust me again? Update. I know now that I made a huge mistake. My boyfriend and I had another conversation. He told me he's having a hard time getting past what I did, but he thinks we should go to couples therapy to understand each other's perspectives. We're pausing wedding plans, but he's still my fiancé. I've sent his mom a message to not contact me again and blocked her. I didn't mean to undermine what he went through as a child. Now for a few important comments. One commenter said, "YTA, you completely blindsided him. You knew he didn't want to see her. He comes home to her in his space and instantly feels betrayed. You broke the trust." Reflecting now, I feel like a total jerk and should have told him about the Facebook message. I just wanted to hear about his childhood from another source, especially before we get married. Hearing what she told me made me feel sympathy for her, reminding me of my childhood. I feel like going without contact should be rare. I wanted to help him resolve it. I really do love him. Another commenter asked if his mother knew his address before this, or if I revealed it. They wondered if she might be reaching out for financial help. She didn't know our address before this, but we are planning to move in a few months. Someone else said, "It seems you have no idea what trauma his mother put him through when he was a child, and you thought it was a good idea to unknowingly bring the very source of that trauma into his home." I do have an idea of what his mom put him through. Technically, he was abused by her SO while she was manipulated or unaware. My boyfriend told me she never outright abused him. His mom told me she was manipulated and unaware, and if she had known, she would have protected him. I thought he needed to hear that instead of holding resentment. Now thinking back, I shouldn't have ambushed him, but he knows me. I didn't do this with bad intention. Is this one mistake really going to end us getting married, erasing all those years? Now for the 3-month update. We broke up. We tried to work it out, but his mom kept visiting, waiting outside our apartment, and it put a mental strain on him. Our lease isn't over, so we couldn't leave. He said the resentment wasn't fair to either of us because he doesn't want a relationship built on it. 6 years through the drain. I guess you guys were right. I don't know how to move on. We were together for 6 years. I can't fathom a reality without him. Is there anything aside from therapy to help him with the resentment, or is it just over between us? We still plan to live together for 3 months. Please be nice. I'm too embarrassed to talk to my friends about this.